I saw a great green square. It didn't completely pull apart, but there was a red cross in it, much like if it was pushed or pulled so that the four squares that composed it stayed attached in the middle points. The broom vibrated. I felt a cold spot on my head in the northern side during the final reading. And at the end, like a little burst that relieved all pain, opened me up a little bit. I was left throbbing, and during the throbbing was the final euphoric wash. And as I felt comfortably warm, much like the initial square gave off a light that wasn't as strong in color as it itself, there was a blue staff, I guess. It had a curved bit up top with a sphere in the middle of it, much like those horns and the sun icons of Egypt. And it had, a pair of spikes going out from each end, the same direction as the horns moved. Now, they weren't horns, but that's the shape that it was reminiscent of. Some people would ask if Christianity or Christians can be poetic, if it cuts off some of the dance, some of the balance of, the goats are on one side, the unicorns are on one side. Sure, the psalmist says that he seeks refuge from the unicorns and lions, but the lion is the only one that gets the symbolism that makes sense. The virgin and all is honored, but only as far as giving birth, and that, not a chaste life that's per se voluptuous. That's not really honored. You don't have the goat to balance with the lamb. You don't have, you got the ram, but not the horse. You got the donkey, but not the horse. And so many emblems of the year are left out. So many things about the feminine are left out. And Judaism speaks of the mythical monsters that are a bit fabulous at times. If they're spiritual creatures, who are we to say what's fabulous? Is if they're beyond merely, how things work in this world. Who's to say that their forms aren't the best for them, right? Or maybe they're the best to interact with beings of this realm. But that aside, Judaism talks about things from an aspect of, there's a process, a system, And this system is not limited to Jews, actually. The Greeks had this idea. And going back to our theme of 9, right? The Irish, Scottish, the Norse, and to a lesser extent the Germanic, they had the idea of this father figure who played the harp and had 9 daughters. And who was the mother? Well, it's this white goddess figure that comes, with pale character and all that other stuff. We have a breakdown of the Tempest by, William Shakespeare, how it was from different sources. We find out that there's a cure to a very serious type of disease that existed in the area of the Styx. Some myths, flip the direction around, and, because it used to be the maps for the most part were flipped towards the equator rather than towards the poles at the top. And this meant that, some aspects of things ended up getting confused. It's like, if it's the far north, but there was the reference to the far north. And Jesus, of course, took on the role of the far north. Just like in, we have that verse from the Psalms. And that one verse from the Psalms is his, initiation, right? And, there's meaning behind some of the forms and all that, but, some of the forms of the strange creatures and stuff could be